Hello, this is Clemon Walker again, sharing a little something about my life. Uh, and this is dealing with listening to God. Uh, as a young man, I started doing things on my own, started making a lot of bad choices and decisions. I started using drugs, not, nothing really harsh, but I started smoking reefer and different things. And uh, then I started selling because I was good at running my mouth. And a lot of the drugs that I was selling made you run your mouth. I sold a lot of things that people know about, from reefer to heroin and cocaine to Seacos to I could talk good. And people like that because I can talk. But I also use a lot of those things. And as I used those things, I got to meet different people that when you're into that type of life of selling drugs, you get to meeting women, you get to meet men. I say this, I never turned anybody on. They got to know me from somebody else. And I kept a low profile because I didn't want my family to know that I was selling drugs because I knew I had a lot of trades. My mother taught me a lot of different things. I have 7 trades and papers for 4 of them. And I've been that way ever since I was 35 or 40 years old. And God kept talking to me and asking me, why are you out here? I could get a job because I knew something. As long as you knew something, the eyes of opportunity is open because you know something. And she always kept telling me, learn all that you can learn because you never know when you may have to use it. But yet I still was out there. And I met a young lady. She was selling cocaine and heroin, which is called boy and girl. That's a name they call it boy and girl. And I combined what she was, and I became a drug dealer, and she was selling drugs. And one day, I think it was on a Saturday or Sunday, she was sick, and she had 3 children. And she said, these children need clothes. They got to go to school. She had 2 of them in school, and the other one, he was too young yet. So I said, well, give me it. I've been used to we was raised up doing our own clothes when we got big enough. So I went down the basement, and her brother's wife, because we stayed up on the 2nd floor, they stayed on the 1st floor. The duplex, you had up and down in the back and up and down in the front. They stayed in the front, and we stayed in the front upstairs. So as I went down, she was down there washing clothes. And I put the basket of clothes down on the side because she was using our washer and dryer. You know, I guess she had talked to Sue and say, well, okay, you can use it, and she was down there. And she had cut the lights off, and then she came out and tried to put herself on me. And I turned her down. And I knew better. I went back upstairs. I put my hands up and told her, you know, back off me, and I went back upstairs. And that's when I didn't tell Sue because blood is thicker than water. And I shouldn't have been there in the first place. And one thing from another, she went and told her husband that I put myself on her. And he believed it. And he started pulling he started pulling a pistol on me. He pulled a pistol out on me 3 different times. He broke in the house the third time, and he put a 38 long up to my head. He was a security guard too. He worked in a foundry, and because I shouldn't have been there, God had told me to leave. My mother told me to leave. I even said to myself, it's time for me to go because somebody's going to get hurt. And I carried a gun, but I never pulled it out on anybody except one time or 2 times. A guy in a bar was drunk. He wanted to pull a razor out of me, and I went around the corner, and I pulled it out. I had it in a little case, and I told him that you don't have to do here. You can go on. And I knew it was that the liquor was. But as it went on, I tried to talk to Carlos and tell him that I was not the one, that he needed to talk to his wife, not me. I'm not the one doing anything. And he kept in his mind that, and now we got a problem here because his sister is believing them because I didn't take time out to tell her about what had happened. I figured I was grown. I didn't need to call because I know, but once I told her who she was going to believe, she was going to believe her sister-in-law and believe her brother. The brother came to her and told her that what his wife had told him. And I tried to tell her that, hey, and I left. I said, okay, I left. But then when you leave a situation, you need to stay gone when you know that there's a problem there. When you know that, and I was a person that I was quiet, but I ain't take no stuff. I was used to taking care of myself. I learned a lot, which I don't go and tell everybody, but I could fight good and different things. But yet, some fights, you need to pick your fights. And don't go and start none. But if you can't walk away, well, then you have to deal with it. And God allowed me to go through. Carlos shot me 4 times with a 38 long. We had a shootout. And I pulled mine out, and I shot him 4 times. And his wife pulled hers out, her 22 out of her breast, as I was falling out. She shot me 2 more times. And we both died. God put the breath of life back and talked to me. And they said that when EMS checked us out, said that both these men are dead. But God. This is what they told me. Said they go get the blankets to cover us up. EMS is a rescue operation. There's nothing they can do about you when you're dead. They're called the coroner's office. And God spoke to me and told me that I could rise from here. And I could hear and I confessed it to him. I said, Lord, please, if you just bring me back through this here, I'll never turn my back on you. I felt life going back in my body. And as I rose to my feet, I don't know how I got up. When I felt, I could feel somebody in the back of it was Sue that was lifting, and she said today that I was light as a feather. And you know she couldn't, she was 8 months pregnant with my second daughter. And Gary, his brother-in-law, once he seen me back, he went and got his pistol and tried to shoot me, but the gun jammed, so he took the back of it and beat me, pistol whipped me back down on the ground, and I didn't feel no pain but God. And I kept getting there. So at that particular time, Sue went and wrestled with him. You know, pregnant women, sometimes they get some strength in them. And while they were tussling, I walked right past them. They didn't even see me when I walked right past them and went upstairs. And all the confusion going on, nobody seen me when I walked right past them because God blinded their eyes. I walked right past Carlos, and he had a blanket covering him. They were covering him up, and I walked right past him. But it wasn't Carlos and his wife's fault. That was my fault because I did not listen to what God told me to do. God told me, God will always give you a way out, but you have to be able to take the way out. And if you don't take the way out, you can't blame God for what happens to you. So I want to end that with knowing that God still is watching over you, even though I didn't listen to him, he still watched over me. He still kept me. He healed my body, and still he'll do the same for you if you would just allow him to. Our biggest thing of thinking that we know how to do it better than God. You can't do it. God is the one that knows everything about you. And it would be something good to seek him out. Take inventory of yourself to know that God is, and let God be God. And I thank you for your time. Amen.